I'm Patrick Bailey with iQlist.com. Today is April 16th, 2022, and in this video I'm going to show off a cool 3D print designed by Cisco called Flexy Pliers. Okay, so here's the pliers. They are pretty cool. So this one's printed out in PLA. You can see they got these little hinges here, and it just works really wonderfully. Now you might want to print in PETG because PETG is a little more flexible, but it's a little more harder to work with. Now I did print one in PETG, but I have this as an old roll, and it worked just fine for a while. And you can see it's kind of stringy. That's on me. That's my fault. But also I broke it. I think it's just because it's an old roll. But also you can see those hinges right there is the problem. But also if I go here and they're completely broken off and I hold them, they're still working. So I don't know if those really need to be attached. Maybe this can be redesigned where it has, like, you know, it has a hinge there too, and that might just work just fine. But this is great. I think I want to print these out and bring them to the homeschool conference, because these things they're really awesome. And also they flex around. I don't know if I can see this very well. They kind of flex around things.
Not on black on black.
Well, let me get a black and orange here together.
A white background.
Well, there we go. You can kind of grab things and it flexes. So you can grab a lot of cool things. And I picked up a lot of things. Oh, I would pick up this. I can pick up that. There we go. Ah, that one's too smooth. They're pretty strong. I bet you with two of these, I bet you I can pick up this platter just fine. And I can probably okay, they're pretty tough, but not that tough, I guess. But I think this is a great design. I think it's wonderful. I'm going to print some more out. I think I might want to take some. So Cisco, he does a lot of great designs. Go check them out. But I think some things that I might want to try with this in the future is make it a little thinner here, just so I can print more side by side so I can give more away. And also, because I know kids, they're going to do this.
I can't see what you're doing.
Oh, they're going to push this out.
Got it.
And if they push this out, it's going to more likely break quicker. I think we can put little stops here, so you can't go further than that. I think that's probably a good idea. But I've been fiddling with it. Now the one I broke, I just stress fractured over time. But I've been playing with this one all day, back and forth, not trying to break it, but just doing this, and it's been fine. And this is in PLA. So I think this is one of the more worthwhile prints to show people. It's really cool. Anyway, with that, we'll just kind of go over the details and go over the numbers now. Okay, I'll put a link in the show notes, but here is where the Flexy Pliers can be gotten at. They're at Printables, and under Cisco is the one who created them. So just go down there and download it. I think it is a great print to show off the capabilities of the printer and to hand out. It's pretty cheap to hand out. And also, I don't know if he got this design or got the idea inspired by, there's some people at, I think, BYU. Go look them up. There's some engineers out there at the university there who are doing a lot of, what's the word? Flexible, compliant kind of materials where they're not working with PLA per se, but they got a lot of different ideas that this is kind of akin to, where you have this mechanical device that may or may not have hinges that just works where things flex around. So check those guys out. And this kind of really is akin to that. It's really cool. Okay, so with that, one other thing before I go into detail. One thing I did do on this print, which might be a good idea, there's a lot of little tiny details and pins right here. So with that, sometimes on occasion I have problems on the first layer. So I like to run the first layer a little slower. To do that, you go in the Prusa slicer, you go to Print Settings, and you go to Speed, and then here on that first layer, I would just change that to 40% or 30%, and then just run it like that and re-render it. And that's kind of what I did. It just makes life a little simpler, just in case. I don't know if there's a problem with this print, but there's some details there. So with that, let's go over the numbers. So this took 2 hours and 4 minutes to print. It took 2.6 cents worth of electricity, and it weighs a whopping 0.012 kilograms, and at $20 per kilogram comes out to 24 cents for the material. So total cost is 27 cents, or about a quarter. So I am definitely going to print a bunch of these out for the conference to hand out because they are just kind of neat. Another thing. Another reason I'd like to redesign this, and I think you could, with a slight redesign and, but mostly copying his idea here, you probably do it in OpenSCAD, I think, fairly easily. But two things. One, I think this is perfect. I don't think anything I just do anything with it. Might do something with the hinges here just to make it maybe last longer. There's that break thing I talked about. But also maybe make it a little thinner so that you could do more side by side when you print. You know, this also. And another thing, it's a little thinner, and also be able to adjust the top and the bottom. So there's little kids with little hands that they might, find it a little easier to have this not quite as long. But also, you might be able to brand it. So maybe you can close it in, and you could put I could put an IQ list symbol down here or something, just to, I think this would be a, good branding. But then there's more material, more cost. You got to consider that. But also, I didn't think about this. This might be very stackable. During the start of the pandemic, when we were doing all these face masks, and Bruce was putting all these face shields out. I did a couple of videos. I did a lot of videos figuring out what he did to make it so you could stack them. And so this might be a thing where you can stack them, and that could be a fun video. And stacking, I won't get into too many details right now, because I have some videos, you can go check them out. But basically, you have an in-between layer where they have very minimal attachments, but also the attachments are done in such a way that they're easier to break off. And then you do the next one. So the prints usually aren't quite as clean on the bottom, but they work, and that way you could print a bunch all in a stack and break them off. Brain thinking. Okay, but with that, now let's wrap this up. Now, 3D printing is an engineering adventure that you're on. You can develop your skills and knowledge and take this in so many ways. You can make a business out of this. You can teach others, and you can make amazing designs. So design it, engineer it. I got a square carabiner test to work out, so expect a video on that. I am pretty stoked that I can start making some custom carabiners. On another note, with these end screens, it was always my intention to showcase other people's prints they posted to me. So I recently had one from R. Martin, who printed out a dinosaur crossing sign. And Martin says, use the Prusa slicer to automatically detect. It was a sign, and inserted filament color change breaks automatically. Worked perfectly. So look at that. At the very end of this, you can see it looks pretty sweet. Pretty happy that worked out for me, yeah. But also, that made me go look up. I didn't know that the Prusa slicer could automatically detect a sign and put in the brakes. And I actually tested it, and it worked. So I need to go make a video on that. That's kind of cool that it does that. So anyway, fun.